Well, first and foremost, I am a nerd, as you can probably tell by all the stuff back there. Got plenty of it to go around, but I am a voice actor. Hopping back into Twitch streaming, took a break from that for a little bit, just stuff going on, but going to be doing a bit more of that and focusing on making those two things more of my life rather than how balance has been before. It's something that as the opportunities come up more, I love doing them, and they've been coming more frequently. So hopefully it stays that way.
Awesome.
That's
Absolutely.
awesome. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, and welcome to another episode of Movement Radio. I am Chip Hazard,
And I'm Talon Williams.
and today we are joined by a special guest, voice actor extraordinaire, Jake Haberman. Jake, how are you today?
I'm doing well. I don't know if you caught that, but my Zoom just crashed and then put me back in, but
I
I'm
I,
good.
I
Hopefully that
did
doesn't
catch
happen
that.
later.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If it
All
does, we
technical
can fix it.
difficulties
Fair enough. Yeah.
happen.
Uh, for those who don't know, who is Jake Haberman?
Well, first and foremost, I am a nerd, as you can probably tell by all the stuff back there. Got plenty of it to go around, but I am a voice actor. Hopping back into Twitch streaming, took a break from that for a little bit, just stuff going on, but going to be doing a bit more of that and focusing on making those two things more of my life rather than how balance has been before. You know, it's something that as the opportunities come up more, I love doing them, and they've been coming more frequently. So hopefully it stays that way.
Awesome.
That's
Absolutely.
awesome.
So Chip asked the question, who are you? I'm going to ask the question, who were you before the voice acting, before the Twitch stream, before any of this? What was that initial spark that made you think, I could do this for a living? Or what started it? Was it at a young age? Were you just a big fan of the anime, cartoons, and such?
It's an excellent question. Yeah, so that actually is part of it as well. I was huge into watching anime when I was younger, huge into watching Saturday morning cartoons. Media has really just been like a big focal point in my life. It's My dad was in the Air Force and we moved around a lot, but one thing we could always do together was watching movies, playing games together. So that was like a big focal point for me. And doing that, then I, started getting more and more interested. And I wondered to myself, like, how do you get into that? How do I do that? Because started working other jobs. I started doing pizza delivery, worked in finance for a while. They're all great work, very stable jobs, probably more stable than a voice acting job. But you know what? I thought to myself, hey, I'm getting this work. I'm showing to myself I can do this. I really want to just go for it. And now that's the path I'm on at the moment.
Awesome. Awesome.
Awesome. So what was your Saturday morning cartoon of choice?
Oh, see, now that's tough because what would run the most would probably have been reruns of the Flintstones or pretty much anything on Nick.
Hmm.
I was really into Jimmy Neutron, especially the Jimmy Timmy Power Hour special. Loved
Yeah.
that. One of my all-time favorites. Danny Phantom was another great one. Nick was probably the channel I watched the most. Cartoon Network had some great ones, though. Don't get me wrong. Samurai Jack will always have a special place in my heart.
Yes,
So
absolutely.
not
Absolutely.
gonna knock them for that, but that's I mean, Nickelodeon was just that was easy. That was on. The reruns were going, and it was easier to watch more of it. And then they started putting Dragon Ball on there, and that's when I really got me because that's watching all of that was really the first like long form anime I watched, and that was awesome. I cannot say how enough good things about Dragon Ball. Like it's so fun, and especially as a kid, you're watching it, you're going, "This is insane! How do they do all this?" And it's will always be a good show to me. I don't think they'll ever break Dragon Ball to the point where I won't love it.
I
Yeah. Well, they just
see.
announced another one soon, didn't they?
Yeah,
Yep,
there's actually one coming out, I think October 11th, if I've got my days right. It's
you are correct.
Dragon Ball Daima. That one looks really interesting. I hope it works out well. They're taking a kind of GT Dragon Ball approach with turning them into kids again. Could pay off though. We'll see. It all depends on the story. That's
Yeah.
gonna
I,
be the biggest thing.
yeah,
Yeah.
I'm really excited for it. I mean, it was the last thing that Toriyama worked on, and it's 100% his vision. Whereas GT, and I know GT gets a lot of hate. I
Yeah.
didn't hate GT. I actually part of it I wasn't a real big fan of, but then when you get to like the baby saga, it's
That's fair.
like it's like, oh,
That's
this
where it
is
really
nice.
it started picking up more speed, and then you get like Super Saiyan 4 and Gogeta Super Saiyan 4 versus Baby and versus Omega Shenron. It's all like that's where it really started coming together. I get some of it, the like not as fun as the other Dragon Ball series for the first chunk, but that's really where I, at least for me, I was like, oh, this is pretty good.
Yeah.
Like they lost me on the
Yeah.
dancing para para, but you got me back. I'm here.
Fusion dance.
Yeah, exactly. That's never not going to be cool to me too. That's I
Oh,
love those. Fusion Reborn was another great movie.
mm-hmm.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. Um, okay. Since we are talking Dragon Ball, I have to know favorite Dragon Ball character.
Oh, okay, so that's tough because it's been a toss up for the fusions for me with Vegito and Gogeta specifically. And
Okay.
it always bounces back and forth because like Fusion Reborn, one of my all-time favorite Dragon Ball movies.
Mm-hmm.
But the Majin Buu saga is also probably my favorite Dragon Ball Z like arc. So it's really tough because they're completely different characters, even though they're the merged of the same one. And both personality just keeps trying to one up the other and how awesome it is. And now they're both at Super Saiyan Blue, and I'm just like, this is crazy. They're both crazy.
Yes. Yes.
It should be a
Uh,
fight to the death.
Exactly. I would love
yeah.
to see that in like one of their what if like shows. I'd watch it.
Oh, I
Yeah,
definitely watch it.
absolutely.
I definitely watch it. Um, Obviously, I'm right here. It's
Hey, that's a
it's
fair choice. That's a very fair choice.
to the point that I I remember back in like middle school creating my very first email address, and it was like Vegeta SSJN 19 um at
Yeah.
whatever. I'm not I don't even remember, but I remember it being Vegeta Super Saiyan 19, and I was like, this is mine.
Yeah.
Oh, I think we've all been
Yeah.
there.
We've all had crazy emails at one point in the past.
Yeah.
Cobra Dragon 2691.
Oh yeah. Now I've got that very simple, like part of the first, like the last name and the first name just pushed together. Figure that's the easiest instead of just throwing like Dragon Ball or Doctor Who is another big one I loved growing up. So I had like the Doctor at and Hotmail. I'm like, nah, I don't think I don't need that. No, I don't need that anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy. All right. So what was that initial break that you got to get into voice acting?
Okay, so that is a little bit of like a multi-part little story here. So we're gonna go on a small adventure.
Let's
Let's
Uh,
go.
go.
so
I'm
I
ready.
first like started taking some acting classes in middle school, and then later, more importantly, in college, where I started getting like some of the more like actual intensive instead of just the like, oh hey, just come give us your basics. Uh, and that was a lot of fun. And then I ended up seeing this class that was being run by a studio over here in Texas called Starman Studios, and I
Oh,
noticed they were working with another director slash actor named Kyle Phillips, who
Yes.
yes.
amazing, does a lot of great work, is really cool guy. And we got to do that class with him. And then at the end of it, I was talking with him and I was like, hey, I don't want to waste your time. I'm not trying to be, I'm sure everyone tells you this, but I'm very interested in this work as, we're here in this class. Here's my email. If, it's okay, I can send you a demo, that kind of thing. And at first, I wasn't sure if he was going to, be like, oh, hey, I've heard this, get out of here. Don't worry about it. But he was very nice. And he was like, hey, you know what? Go ahead, send me that. I'll take whatever contact information you want to give me. And at first, I sent that out to him. I didn't think I was going to hear anything back. A little while went by, and I was like, man, might have missed my opportunity. And then out of the blue, I'm in class one day, and then I get an email that's like, hey, can you come out to the Funimation building for an audition? And I was like, what? So I freaked out. That was that whole day, that's all I could think about, and all the days leading up to it, that was really all I could think about. And I finally got into a booth, and I got to sit down with Anthony Bowling. I don't know what he was working on at the time, but he was the guy who was my, here's, read from your book of Funimation shows in the past and tell us what these characters would sound like to you. And we went through that together. And again, it was another moment of like, we finished up, I left, we were very nice, he's a very nice person, we chatted, we had a good time. I went home, waited a little while, and I was like, dang, okay, maybe not. maybe I didn't get it. And then I was at Comic-Con and then I get another email that says, hey, do you want to come work with Kyle Phillips on Fairy Tale? And I was like, yes. And I had to double check the times because I was like, I will leave right now. Like, I will get there as soon as possible. And that was my very first show, was getting to work with a couple guys. I think probably the most famous person I worked with during that session was Josh Martin.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
yeah, he's a great guy. I had no idea what he looked like at the time, so I didn't know that was Josh Martin. So we were just chatting, and I'm thinking he's like my experience level. No, not at all. I should have caught on when he was like, "Yeah, I did. I played Barney back in the day too," and I was like, "What? You were on TV as Barney? That's crazy."
Like Barney
Uh,
the dinosaur?
yeah, he ended up
What?
apparently putting on
Wow.
that suit. Yeah, I
Yeah.
sometime during the
Wow.
'90s, maybe. I'm not exactly sure, but
That's
it was
crazy. I
another
didn't
fact I
know he did
learned about him.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't know he did that.
That's awesome that you mentioned Josh. We'll have Josh on the show here in a couple of weeks.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
So
cool.
yeah, I'm excited for that one.
Yes, absolutely.
He's very nice and he's very funny. So it should be a good pairing for the show, I think.
Awesome, awesome.
Yeah.
Um, so where does you get that email and you go in and you start working on Fairy Tale with Kyle and Josh. Um, what was that experience like?
Oh,
Like,
it was so surreal. Like, because you walk in and they call it Walla in the
mhm,
sessions that I was in, and it's the with all actors. And basically, you get into this really cramped booth most of the time. In fairness, this was old Funimation building, not the new one. So smaller booths at the time.
the old one by the gas station where you go through the or not
Yep.
gas station bank.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Over Flower Moundish. Yeah, it was awesome building, a lot of great stuff. They used to do tours there, but I don't know if the new one does. But
I'm not sure.
getting
Maybe.
off topic
Uh,
there a little bit.
I
But
I've never been to the old Funimation building, but from talking to a bunch of VAs and everything, it's like I can almost picture it in my head. Like I have this
Yep.
idea, and I don't want to ruin like this idea of what.
hey, that's fair.
Yeah.
They don't even record out of there anymore, so
You
keep it
keep the
up there.
virtual tour in your head, basically, and that's what we're
Yeah.
going to stick with.
Exactly. But yeah, you basically get into these like small booths, and for us, it was four guys working together, and it was one of those like you see the screens, you see the monitors, and it's like Word documents on one side, a show on another. And for someone like me who had never done anything like that before, I was sitting there going like, I'm about to be in a bunch of these shows that I've watched before. Like I'm about to be the voice in this show that I've never thought I'd be able to do. Even if they're smaller roles, like I'm a part of that. Like I think the craziest one for me was getting to do One Piece. Working on that, I was like, how did I get to a position where I get to do this? How am I so
Right.
lucky? And I loved it, and I loved every second of it. But you're basically just with that one, we shouted in a booth for like 2 hours straight, and it was great. We were all just fighting. We were a crowd. We were chanting for I think it was Dressrosa for One Piece.
Mhm.
But it was great. It was it was so much fun, and it is tiring work if you're doing all that shouting, but it's absolutely worth it. You go home, your voice is all messed up, and you're like, I don't care. I've done something awesome today. It's worth it.
Yes.
I don't know who it was we talked to about this a couple of weeks ago, but you had brought up Fairy Tale, then you brought up One Piece. And I'll ask the question, is that like a rite of passage in the anime community where it's like you have to do either Fairy Tale, One Piece, or Fire Force? Like those are the three main ones we hear everybody has a small role in at some point in their careers.
I honestly, I don't know. I think part of what comes from it may just be, I may be saying a little too much. Don't know. Kyle is a very, very nice guy, and he
Mhm.
likes to bring in the new talent when he can, from what I've been experiencing. And he works on a
Okay.
lot of those shows because I worked on all three of those with him initially. So he may be part of that with the like, hey, you know, you're new, but I want you to have a shot. So here, come in, we'll get you in, and as long as you don't completely blow it, we can work together. Very good guy. I mean, again, cannot thank him enough.
Yeah, we met him 2022 at FarleyCon. He was really really cool to talk to. Yeah, he was really awesome. But one question that I do want to ask you, and it is kind of a serious subject.
Mhm.
Um, with the advent of artificial intelligence in your industry, what is your opinion about the usage of AI in your industry?
So me personally, it's I would never want to sell my voice to be training an AI or to reproduce my voice with an AI because I'm still so early on in my career. I'm still trying to find those projects and make my kind of my footing in the industry. Like I've had a plenty of chances to do these smaller side roles, and I will never take those for granted. But with AI being able to replicate my voice perfectly, I'd want to be the one who actually gets to show up and put the love and the heart into the show, rather than having a voice that's just kind of generated. And like I'm gonna talk a little bit of crap about the Kenobi show just for a little bit.
Oh,
James Earl Jones's Vader didn't quite sound like full James Earl Jones, and I know that's because they had the AI supplement, and that's kind of, I feel like you lose a little bit of that heart there and a little bit of that like spirit of the actor in there, and I think that's very important. So to me, it's something I don't want to mess with. If another voice actor feels like they want to sell their voice rights, that's on them. I will pass, politely declining that.
I, I definitely can understand that. I have often said that once you take the art away from the artist, it's no longer actually art. And that's just my personal opinion, but
I'm with you. I
Yeah.
think that's
yeah.
fair.
Yeah. And it's more than just like me. Of course, I bring up voice acting because that's the field that you're in, but it's also in music. It's also in, animation in a sense, like the thing that happened a couple of months ago with Todd McFarlane's variant cover for Spawn. The winner, the winner that was picked was all AI, and that created some controversy. So yeah, so I think AI can have a benefit, but when AI itself is the one creating, then that's when it becomes a problem because then it's like, okay, you're not creating, you're using this tool to create and then taking the credit for it when really all you did was just put a couple of ideas onto a keyboard and then bam, there was an idea. It's very, very strange and weird how this came about. But I mean, just like with everything, I think, I think it might be a fad. It might be kind of like NFT and all the other things. Virtual, augmented reality and stuff like that. It might be that, but who knows? All I know is that I've seen Terminator 2 and I know what Skynet is. So I want to make sure we don't get to that point. You know what I mean?
That's so funny you bring that up. I was just in a session like 2 weeks ago on a Friday night, and we were like the last session of the night. It was like an 8 to 10 slot. And out before we're going into the booth, there's a little like welcome area in the back. There's some drinks, there's water, there's all these different snacks, but they have these two TVs there. And funny enough, one of the TVs, we were just sitting there watching Terminator 2 for like 20, 30 minutes before we went in for the session.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, that's awesome.
Putting on
So
all the TV. Do you see this? This is what
exactly.
happened.
It's so good.
Um,
I need your clothes,
so
your boots, your motorcycle. Sorry.
yes. So of your vocal range, right?
Mhm.
What do you feel is the most difficult voice for you to sustain over a longer recording session?
That's a very fair question. So for me personally, I'm rough when it gets to the upper range. I'm a sort of mid to low kind of guy. I can get to the higher range, but I need like small bits for that.
Mhm.
Uh, as fun as it is and as awesome as it is, I it's it's tough to sustain. It puts a lot of strain on the throat. Maybe it's because I don't have the right like technical training to keep it going and not hurt as much, but definitely for me that's been my biggest struggle is those younger roles for that exact reason.
Yeah. Do you do any routines in terms of like, ketamine tea, anything like that, lemon, honey, all that stuff?
Yeah, fair enough. Usually my go-to on the way to a session, I will actually bring just plain unsweet tea with me because that's just I love that green tea, black tea, either one works for me. And then may not be the best idea, but to get me in the right mindset of like that having fun, that loose kind of, I'll just put on my jams playlist on Spotify and sing in the car on the way there. And it's, I mean, a mix of like 80s, 90s, and early 2000s. So I've
Okay.
got like them singing 1985, followed by Chumbawamba, followed by Backstreet Boys, and it's
Oh
all
my
just like across the board, and I just
God.
have fun with it.
I was thinking to ask, like, what's on the playlist, but you just mentioned,
Yes,
Home in
yes.
Pursuit, uh, Chumbawamba. I think that's the name of the band, or
Mhm.
that's a Ted Thumper. I don't know what the
No,
band
it
is.
yeah.
All I know,
The
huh?
the name of the band is Chumbawamba, and they're probably their most famous song is Tub Thumper.
Tub Thumper. That's what I thought. Okay, I thought it was the opposite thing, but yeah. Anyway, yeah, you know, I was thinking like I was like, hey, I go from Amazing Grace to Rain and Blood. Okay, that's a wide range, I guess.
Hey, it
That's an,
happens though. Like sometimes you really just want to listen to like Dolly Parton for some reason, and then the next minute you're like, Metallica is exactly what needs to come after
yeah, maybe.
that.
Yeah.
I'm weird too. Like I'm that. Whether 1 minute I'm listening to like Immortal Technique, the next minute I'm listening to Slayer. After that, it's like a Christian band, Cutlass, and then after that, I'm like, why do I have EDM music on my playlist? Who is it? Who is Skrillex? But yeah, I get what you're saying. Yeah, it's crazy. But does that help you also mentally preparing, not just vocally, but also mentally preparing going into a session? Does it like kind of brings the nerves and the stress and the anxiety down a little bit?
Yes, and that's actually more of why I started doing it than for the vocal warm up. Because like the vocal warm up, you can do much simpler things. You could do like tongue twisters. You could try to just like keep one constant tone and move it up and down in your range just to kind of get the throat warmed up. But it's exactly because for me, I get kind of nervous going into these because it's still very surreal to me that I get to do this at all. So going into there, I always feel like that, like, am I gonna be able to actually get exactly what they want? Is it gonna be something that we're gonna have to work on a lot? So that just getting out of my own way and just having that nice, relaxing drive up there makes it way easier to get in the booth and just have a good time with it. And that's honestly, I think the best way to do it, especially with the Wallace sessions, is just have a blast. Half the
Yeah.
time, some of that stuff might not even be able to be heard. I don't know if you'll be able to hear it. Bye Bye Earth. We just did episode 8, came out recently. And like there's a line I did in there about like this open bar is not worth my life. I'm getting out of here. And I have no idea if you can even hear it, but we laughed for a good solid like couple minutes after that.
Wait, what was the line again?
This open bar is not worth my life. I'm gonna get out of here.
I don't know. What were they say? What were they serving? There's a question. There's
Oh
a question,
gosh.
man. What were they
Yeah,
serving? Was it Hennessy? Hey, tequila?
that's fair.
Hey, gin? I'm good.
It's some posh party in this world, so it's probably like champagne and that kind of stuff. So I don't know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. No,
Mimosas
I'm
are
not.
good,
I'm not.
but
Not for the
Um
champagne. No, thank you.
yeah.
so earlier you had mentioned being a fan of Doctor Who, and I see in the background there you've got the phone booth. Which is your favorite Doctor? There's the tough question.
It is a tough question, but it's also the only doctor I have had the opportunity to meet, and that is David Tennant. And that was this year at Comic-Con. I finally got to go meet him, and I was like, this was my childhood, was like starting the early part of Doctor Who and then getting into the reboot they just started with my dad with Eccleston, and then Tennant was like the one that I was like, that's the doctor, because he was there longer. Christopher Eccleston I liked a lot, but one season it was tough because then you get 3 seasons with the next, and you're like, well, I'm definitely going to get more attached to the guy I get to see a lot more of and get developed into those storylines. And then he came back for the 60th anniversary special, which I never saw coming. And I was like, okay, I'm
Yeah.
here.
Was he the
I,
one?
I'm
Was he the
here for
one in the
that.
very last episode that he was in? Was he the one that said, "I don't want to go"? Was that him, or was that a different
Oh,
one?
yes, yes. And I
Okay.
don't know if you play Magic the Gathering. It's a fun card game, but they made their art card for farewell is that scene of him crying and like the regeneration starting. And I was just like, you're
Gotcha.
monsters, but I love it.
Gotcha.
It hits you
So
right
the
in the
doctor
feels
knows
right
that he's
there.
fixing to regenerate, basically, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't mean to cut you off, Chip. I'm sorry. I just had a
Oh no,
No,
question.
I
you're
was
good.
just
Yeah,
saying.
it's
I was just saying that scene. It hits you right in the feels. It's like, man, like
Yeah.
yeah. Well, it's so tough too, because like the whole time you know what's gonna happen because they usually announce before the specials come out that they're gonna, change up the doctor or this is that doctor's final season. So like that whole time you want to root for them. You want to root for them, but at some point they're gonna die. and you're gonna have to watch it, and you're gonna have to live with it, and it sucks, especially when it's the Doctor you like the most. But then, you know, it is what it is. That's the show. It's like James Bond. You know, if they change it up, you just got to roll with it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I've seen, yeah, because I mean, when I first started watching James Bond movies, I mean, Pierce Brosnan was James Bond, and I always thought he was James Bond until I went back and started watching a lot of the Sean Connery ones, and I said, Sean Connery's James Bond. You know what I mean? Like Pierce Brosnan did good. Daniel Craig did a good job
He
as,
did.
as James Bond, but Sean Connery's James Bond. You know what I mean? That's like any rendition. We talked about this with Bob Carter. Like, yeah, you can have multiple renditions of Batman, but to me, Kevin Conroy is the voice of Bat. Kevin Conroy is Batman. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? So,
I it's such a shame he passed away. I
I
yeah,
like his
yeah,
voice is, even if I read Batman comics, that's the voice. Like
yeah,
that's the one I always pick, and it's just perfect.
yeah.
Yeah, speaking of Batman, I picked up this uh book here. It's the 100 greatest moments of
That's sick.
yeah. So dude, I'm a huge Batman fan.
Hey, fair. Batman is awesome, and in my opinion, I think his villains are also some of the more interesting villains as well. Sorry, I can't speak apparently, but I think that helps elevate the stories and make it even more interesting. Like some people didn't like the Dark Knight movie, but then like you have Heath Ledger as the Joker, and it's like, well, Batman's great, but also look at that and then have both of those things in one movie and think about how crazy that is and how good that is to watch.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, who's your favorite Batman villain?
Okay, so that's tough because the trolling answer is I like the Condiment King because he's ridiculous, and there's like no real threat other than if you're allergic to condiments. But
Oh no, mustard!
exactly, it's so dumb, but it's so funny. But I mean, I don't know. There's a toss up probably for me between Mister Freeze and Deathstroke because they both just have really cool storylines in themselves that I'm also like, if it were just a little different, you could have been a superhero that I would have also read all the comics for. Like,
Yeah,
because Deathstroke is, I mean, he's like Deadpool if he took himself seriously. And then you have Mr. Freeze who goes through so much. And you finally understand like why he's becoming a villain because you're like, dude, life just really just kept giving you the shaft.
yeah.
Yeah.
Basically, yeah. Mine's always been my favorite villain. Actually, is from one of the video games, the one of the Batman video games. I can't. I think it was Arkham City. It may have been Arkham Asylum. But it's Scarecrow. The
Oh,
you
yeah.
know To me, Scarecrow, I didn't like his portrayal in Batman Begins. Even though,
Oh,
like, I understand why they did it the way that they did it, but it wasn't my favorite portrayal. If they made it that similar to what the video games did, or even something similar to Batman the Animated Series, I think would have gotten over a little bit better. You know what I mean? Because I don't know. To me, a doctor who can basically make you see, feel, and hear your fears. Like because what did he do with Batman in the animated series? He made Batman relive the trauma of his parents dying and him having to deal with the grief and everything like that. Of course, I'm not going to spoil anything for people who haven't seen. Of course, this was 30 years ago when the series was out, so you know. But yeah, I mean, to me, the Scarecrow is one of my favorites. So him, followed by Joker, then Riddler. My opinion, just because Riddler was always funny to me. You
Well,
know.
Scarecrow also, like, on top of all of the awesomeness that is this character and how interesting it is, you have also Batman whose like main weapon is fear. And then now he has to face that and has to figure
Yeah,
out his own way to battle that. And then it makes the characters even more interesting as they keep
yeah,
trying to fight each other.
yeah. That was my favorite. That's probably one of my favorite episodes of the animated series was when Batman and Scarecrow had their fight in the end. It was like a 3 episode arc, but it was still pretty good. I think.
Oh yeah.
yeah. So,
Turn.
well, I just say I'm looking at his nerdness there in the back, and I see
Okay.
um Iron Man's helmet. Is that Thor's hammer up top?
Oh yeah. So that one is actually a Thor's hammer from God of War Ragnarok. However, I am a nerd, so 2 seconds.
One with the
Yes.
You're
shit.
just over here. I've got the metal
Oh,
version of the MCU
Uh,
one.
um,
nice.
and then is that there next to Iron Man's helmet? Is that the Doctor Strange
You
amulet?
got it. Yep.
Ah,
Awesome.
okay. So for you, is it Marvel or DC?
Here we go.
Okay, so it's a really tough question to answer that because it also depends on comic books versus live action movies.
Okay.
Live action movies, I think Marvel has had more successes. Uh, but like I know not everyone did. I loved Zack Snyder's Justice League. To me, that's the only Justice League movie that exists. That first one is gone. That Joss Whedon version out the door.
Yep.
It don't exist.
No, thank you. Yeah, and like that hit a level that I haven't seen in a superhero movie like for a while. Like that was is probably about like Infinity War level of like craziness because they're setting up Darkseid. They're setting up everything to fall apart with the mother boxes. And I really wish we would have got to see where that went. Uh, but like overall, Marvel, there's been more consistent. And like I grew up on the X-Men as well with my dad.
Hmm.
So like Hugh Jackman Wolverine coming back blew my mind. I never thought I'd see that again. And I never knew how much I needed that back in my life. But then comic books, DC, I feel like I've had a lot more fun with the dark multiverse, the Batman who laughs, all of that. It's because it goes to a place I don't think Marvel does nearly enough. That if I had to do comic books, probably DC, and if I had to do more like live action movies only, maybe Marvel, just because they've got so much going for them.
I think DC does a lot better with their animated movies,
They do.
like Batman and the Red Hood, The Killing Joke, which is very, very graphic for people who haven't seen it, But I remember going all the way back to Mask of the Phantasm from like 1999, like that, like go back that far, and even also, I wasn't a big fan of the Superman animated adventures, but you know, some of them good. I mean, even the Teen Titans, Young Justice had one. The not Teen Titans Go, but Teen Titans. They
Yes.
had one. It was Teen Titans versus Batman. I want to say is what it was, or Teen Titans versus somebody. I can't remember exactly what it was, but yeah, I seriously think DC does a better job with their cartoons and their animation. Now, live action, Marvel's just killing it, because they have the MCU and there's multiple superheroes who can have multiple stories surrounding, everything. And then it gives everybody a leash like, hey, we can make 7 movies a year and still have X amount of, lore to expand upon.
Oh yeah, and I definitely agree on the animated front as well. If we're picking animated Marvel or DC, I'd go DC again. The Justice League Dark whole saga that was great.
Yeah.
Dark Side Apocalypse War, I was like,
Oh,
oh my
yes.
god.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Um,
no, I'm with you there.
have you watched the Crisis on Infinite Earths volumes 1, 2, and 3 yet? Oh, hello. Think we all just froze.
I'm here. Can y'all hear me?
Yes, I think we all just froze.
Uh-oh. All right. All right. So stop it. We'll go
Hold
bring
on.
you can bring it back
Hold on.
in and
There we go.
Yeah, so I finished part one. I'm halfway through the second part, and then once I finish that, I'm on to part three. So I'm actually doing that as we speak. I
Yeah.
have not finished it yet. I did see a little spoilery. I think it was from the third one, Kevin Conroy's final lines, and boy, what good choices to go out
Yeah.
being Batman and having that be the last thing he worked on is it's perfect. Like
Yeah.
I couldn't think of a
Um,
better way for it to end.
the bittersweet thing for me is that that's the final, well, it's the final Kevin Conroy Batman lines that we'll ever hear that are new. Um, but it's also the final animated DCU film. Um, and until James Gunn and Peter Safran decide to reboot the animated universe. Um,
Gotcha.
yeah, which is in my opinion is a terrible idea to do away with the animated universe,
Yeah,
because
that's
it's really what's carrying your uh, visual stories.
Oh yeah. Well, they used to do really well with their games and like I mean, I was a huge fan of the Arkham games, but like the movies are even more important now. Like whatever you think of Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League, it did lose a lot of money.
Mhm.
So they need to make that up elsewhere. And you think keeping the successful projects like the animated would be the way to go. But also, I don't know. Maybe they have good plans. I'd like to hear them if they do. That'd be
Yeah.
cool.
I'm optimistically skeptical about where the new DC universe is going um in the live action realm.
Yeah, I get that. I think the guy that cast is Superman, I think he looks good in the role. Uh it's a little bit of a shame that we're finally getting Nathan Fillion as a Green Lantern, but not Hal Jordan. So I'm not sure how I feel about it, but
Yeah.
that's what it is. We'll see. Maybe it'll be good. I hope so.
Yeah.
Fingers crossed, because
Yeah.
I'm a huge DC guy. I think their stories are better stories. I think they're more rooted in the thought of this could actually happen kind of thing.
Yeah.
Where when you for the most part, like,
Yeah, I
I
mean
mean,
there are some that are crazy, but DC
yeah,
I feel is more grounded as well. I get you.
yeah. Um
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, as you can see, I've got the Dark Knight Returns helm here.
Love that.
A couple of Batman. I mean, if I was to show you that side of my office, you would be like, "What is this guy doing?"
Oh, trust me, I get you. That this is one shelf. I've got more crazy nerd stuff. There's one within arm's reach if you're a fan of The Evil Dead.
Yes, I
Just
am.
got this,
Nice,
and it
nice.
actually even has some sounds.
Yes,
So now I think
I
I
am
might be
so
going
happy
as
right
Ash to
now
Comic
to see that.
Con.
This,
yes,
this, this is all I got. This is my shelf.
Hey, that's still really cool though.
I
Like you gotta
mean,
just have fun with it, you know?
yeah.
yeah.
Well, I mean, our con badges cover up the majority of it. Let's see if I can pull something here.
I was just
Yeah, I
say,
just got this. My Death Note
Oh,
thing.
that's cool.
I
That's
should
really
have
cool.
brought this. I should have brought this with me to Huntsville because they had Brian Drummond. Uh, God, who else? They had all of these characters there, and I could have got it autographed all of them. And I was like, why didn't I think to bring it? But whatever.
yeah,
You know, it happens. I should have brought my magic cards to Comic Con this last time because the Doctor was there, and they have a
Yeah,
Doctor Who set, and I should have got it signed, but my brain just didn't think about it. Not
yeah,
until after.
right. Yeah, see, I keep all my con badges here, uh, behind my Vegeta.
He's just
Um,
keeping them safe for you.
he is. Um, so let's talk a little bit of Twitch streaming. What got you into wanting to do some Twitch streaming?
So this one's a little bit of a weird one because I was going to UNT for radio, TV, film, which got changed to media arts.
Okay.
Uh, and during one of the semesters, they're like, "Hey, you can do internships. We have people you can do internships. You come with any studio, we can set something up with them." Well, then COVID hit, and
mm,
COVID shut down like everybody's internships. But I had this friend, Josh Passmore, who actually ended up being the guy that was running Starman Studios.
Okay.
And he was like, "Hey, you know what? You can't get an internship with any of those other studios. They're all shut down. I'll tell you what I'll do for you. You can come in, you can shadow us during the day. And then for like the night parts, we can actually just have you stream on our Starman Studios Twitch." And I was like, "Oh, okay, sure. Yeah, I'll give that a shot." So, I got to see sort of some of the like behind the scenes of what his life as the like manager of the Starman Studios office was, and then I also got to stream from the building, which was really cool, um, and it was a lot of fun. But it was a weird college internship that sort of became a Twitch thing that I then stepped away from a little bit, and then was like, you know what? No, I should do that again. That was actually really fun. So now I'm getting back to that groove.
what type of games do you like to stream?
Well, the one I'm coming up with next, I want to play a lot of. I've been playing so much Space Marines too. I don't know if either of y'all have played that yet. Uh,
Mhm.
so good. If you liked Gears of War back in the day, it is a very similar feel. The fighting is very fluid. The story very simple, but also very enjoyable. It's
Okay.
only a couple hours. Like I think me and my buddy beat it on normal in about like 6.5 hours, 7 hours ish. Um,
Not bad.
but it's a ton of fun, and the multiplayer looks really cool. Reminds me again of like the Gears of War, Horde versus the Cogs, I think they were called. It's been a little bit. I'm just trying to get there,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
that's what I want to play coming up. I used to play a lot of Star Wars Battlefront 2, just
There you
because
go.
that
Yes.
was like my go-to like comfort game, and I just love it so much.
uh
So you played video games growing up, I assume. So what was your weapon of choice? What was your console of choice?
So my very first console was the GameCube. Was the first one we got, like the family could play on.
Yeah.
But my favorite, because of the games we were getting for it, and just my dad went Xbox for Halo Combat Evolved, and then we just kind of kept going for it. And I got not only got into Halo, but then I got to experience Gears of War. I played Rock Band for God knows how many hours.
Yes.
Uh, like
Yeah.
it was just so much fun, and to this day I still own an Xbox, and I still do play on it when I can, but PC is becoming more convenient for most things these days.
Yeah.
yeah, I'm right there with you. I have an Xbox One sitting literally right here, and I have in my living room I have a Series S. But I am also in the very infancy stages of starting to do some streaming. I'm doing multi-streaming on Twitch and YouTube.
Smart.
Um, I've found that it's a whole lot easier to do it from my PC than to try to do it from my Xbox.
Yeah.
That is very true. I
Yeah.
fortunate enough to have a capture card in my computer. It's old, so it does not keep up with the newer graphics. It only think does like 1080p at 30 FPS.
Mm.
It's good enough though. That if I
Hey,
can just minimize it, I'll be like, hey, look, we can play old games too. Like I'll go play Resident Evil 5. Like it's fine. You
Yeah.
don't need more than 1080p 30 frames for that. We're good.
the fact that you said Resident Evil 5 is an old game makes me feel so old. Because I remember
I
when
feel
Resident
old
Evil
every day.
1 came out, you know?
It's one of those, like, I love that game so much, but it is very dated in the way it plays.
Yeah.
Just especially with all the remasters they've been doing, which I mean, who knows? They'll probably get to Resident Evil 5 here shortly. They just did 4 like last year or so.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they'll probably remaster 5 like next year.
Oh, and I'm gonna play it. I'm a sucker. I like zombies. I like
Yeah.
Resident Evil, so I'm gonna definitely get it and, and spend my time playing it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
You know a game that was similar to Resident Evil, but they only did like one game and they never put it onto next gen consoles afterwards was a game called Dino Crisis. You remember that one?
I do actually remember that game.
Yeah,
I
it was similar to Resident Evil, but it was about imagine Resident Evil and Jurassic Park. That was the game,
Yeah,
basically, you
it
know.
was actually
And I was
really a
like,
crazy game.
yeah, and it's like, why didn't they do? Because you think with all the technology and all the graphics that we use today and everything, like they could remake that game and make it seriously look awesome.
Well, and you think like at a minimum, if not a remake, just like make it backwards compatible. Like that's
Yeah,
something that the Xbox I think does not super well, but at least well enough. Like there's a lot of great titles, but like I loved Raging Blast 2. That was one of
Yeah.
my favorite Dragon Ball fighting games. Cannot play it on anything other than a 360 because that's all I have that'll play it. Uh, but you know, it's fine. I guess we got Sparking Zero coming up, so I'm gonna probably also be diving into that as well.
Right.
right.
You should play that on stream some.
Oh, I definitely think I will.
Yeah.
That one's gonna be too good.
Okay, so here we go. We're talking old video games. You have the power to recreate one video game in current gen. What is your game?
Okay. So it's very specifically, again, ties back to me being an X-Men nerd. But the X-Men Origins Wolverine video game, I felt like basically did a perfect way of playing like that God of War fight style, but with the characters that I loved. So I would love to see that be remade. That or maybe Marvel Ultimate Alliance 1 fully redone for the day. One of
Oh
those two.
yeah, yeah.
because they're just so good.
I've put way too many hours into Marvel Ultimate Alliance. And I'm not even ashamed to admit that.
Nope. Absolutely not.
That was a great game. And like the story was awesome, the characters were awesome, and something I feel like it does a lot better than some modern day games do just because monetization's become a big thing. You could earn all the costumes. You could unlock everything by just playing the game, and that was amazing.
I know.
Yeah.
I absolutely despise microtransactions. Unless here's the caveat to that. Give me the full game for free. I will gladly pay for microtransactions. But if I've got to pay $79.99 for the game, and then I've got to pay $30 for a season pass, and on top of that, you put out costume. I'm gonna go the Fortnite route. Uh,
Oh,
you know, and you're constantly putting out different characters or costumes for those characters, and it's like, so I do play Fortnite some, and I've probably spent, and this is no joke, $200 or $300 on like battle pass plus I bought all the Star Wars skins. I bought all the Dragon Ball skins that they've put
you
out.
got to. Those are like the best ones.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it's like then the adult me is like, I just spent $60 in microtransactions. Why did I do that? The kid in me is like, because you're a nerd, idiot. That's why you did
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
But,
I
but,
get
but, but
that.
the whole microtransactions things, like I get it. It's like, here's the thing: if you give me a full game and it's like, hey, here's an extra mission, or hey, here's an extra, thing that you can do, like a hidden thing or something. Okay, cool. I'm fine with that. But the way that it's set up now, it's like, okay, you're online to buy a car. Cool. Let's buy a car. Carvana will bring it to you, and they bring you just a frame. Like,
Yeah.
what's this? Oh, well, this is your car. It's just a frame. Oh, you gotta buy the hood, and you gotta buy the engine, you gotta buy the wheels, you gotta buy everything else. Like, why can't you just give me everything outright? And if I want to change it or do something else, I don't know. That's just my opinion on microtransactions. I think sometimes they can be okay, and then but people, I think just video game studios just get a little bit too greedy sometimes, and it's like, oh, we know you're gonna buy this, so go ahead. And it's like, why do I need to just give it to me? I don't
Oh
get it.
no, that absolutely. I mean, I played Overwatch a lot from the
Mhm.
first game. I started playing a lot during the second one, and they got to the point where all the skins were like 10, $20 for the skins. And it was like, I'm not buying that because Overwatch 1, which became Overwatch 2, I already had to spend $60 in to buy. Now, new
Yeah,
players coming in, it's free to play, but you took the game I paid $60 for, said it's a new game, and now you can pay more money for the skins. And I was just like, I can't do it. I can't
no,
do it.
yeah, I
Yeah.
don't get it either.
Yeah, at some point you just have to, you're like, I have adult money, but I also have an adult brain. No.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, adult money and adult responsibilities. It's like, man, should I spend $60 on this microtransaction, or do I need to buy groceries? I think I need to eat this week. you
Yeah,
know,
exactly.
you don't need to be at the gas. You don't need to be at the gas pump making life decisions. It's like, okay, hold on. I see it. That's what, $22. See, I still got to download the rest of that MP3. Okay, let's do this. Give me
Yeah.
52 cents on pump one, please.
Exactly. Like it's crazy how much money you can dump into these games. And like I used to play Dragon Ball Dokkan Battle a lot,
Hmm.
but that became the same thing. It was like,
Yeah.
hey, there's a new character. It's a really cool character. You're gonna want it. But also you need to buy all these dragon stones because you beat all the story once and now you don't get any more other than the daily logins. And I'm like, can't do that either because I don't want to spend like 40, $50 on dragon stones every time there's a character.
Right.
Yeah, it's crazy. But I
It's
mean,
crazy.
if people, I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, people can do with their money whatever they want to do with their money. You know what? It's your money. You earned it. Do what you want with it. But I can think of a couple of things I could use that money for a little bit. But like, let me keep the lights on. Let me stay in my house another month. Stuff like that.
Yeah.
No, don't get me wrong.
Oh,
Having things is cool, but at the
True.
end of the day, like I don't know. Maybe this is just a life philosophy I have, but it's like I don't care about the things I want until the things that I need to get done first. You know what I mean? Like how much money we have. Oh, I'm paid X. Like, okay, what bills need to come out this month? Okay, this. Okay, cool. What do we have next month? Oh, we got this, and this. Okay, let's save that money. What's left over? We got $100 and something left. All right, let's go to McDonald's, or something, like, oh, we got that extra bit. Okay, cool. But everything else is taken care of, It's like that old thing. It's like when you're a kid, you have all the energy in the world and you have all the time in the world. You just don't have the money.
Mm-hmm.
When you become an adult, you have the money, you have still some energy, but you don't have the time because you're working all the time. Then when you get like, upper age, like 50 and up, you have the money, you have the time, but you ain't got the energy, so it's like there's never that perfect sweet spot of like when you have all three collectively, you might reach it around maybe 41, 42, something like that, maybe, or even as early as 21, 22, but I don't know. Yeah.
I'm 40.
Like, nope.
Nope. I'm 41 and like I won't say I have the money, but I have time, I have energy.
Yep.
But I also like my bills. I think Jake froze again.
Uh-oh.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are so sorry for the technical difficulties. But Jake, we won't keep you too much longer. I will say, without breaking any NDAs, what do you have coming up that you can talk about? Twitch stream, a con you're going to be at, something that you might be working on that you are allowed to talk about. What's coming up for you?
Biggest things that are coming up that I will be able to talk about will be the Twitch stream. Honestly, I'm gonna try to get an actual schedule put together instead of my normal like, oh hey, I'm streaming today. Let me post that on social media. So we're gonna be working on fixing that schedule. There is a little bit I would like to talk about, but can't. But hey, stay tuned. Maybe we'll get to talk about that soon. I don't know.
Yes.
We'll definitely be back. It's gonna be you're gonna be a second timer here on this.
I'm down.
If you're willing. If you're willing.
Yeah. So
absolutely.
if anybody wanted to follow you to figure out when you're streaming or when you announce that new project that's going to drop, where would they go?
I am on both, or actually all Twitch, Twitter, Instagram is all Haber Guy VO, and then just my name Jake Haberman on Facebook if you're a Facebook kind of person. But yeah, I'm easy. I'm try to keep it consistent, so I'm easy to find. And then just follow me there. Hopefully, we'll get that schedule up soon. Hoping to do at least like 4 or 5 times a week, but we'll see what goes on.
Perfect.
Yes, absolutely.
Perfect.
And we'll have all of his information in the description of this video.
Yeah, and anytime that we see you post like your schedule or whatnot, we'll try to share that and retweet it or
awesome.
What is it? I mean, it's X, so is it retweet or is it re-X? I don't know.
Who knows, man? I don't know if Elon's gonna change it or
not. There you go.
Yeah. So Jake, we were once told that the greatest gift you can share with another person is your time because it's something you can never get back. And we greatly appreciate you sharing your time with us this evening.
I appreciate you all having me. Sorry about that. Again, can't talk today for some reason, but this was an awesome podcast. This was probably the most fun I've ever had, just sitting chatting with 2 new people and getting to make 2 new friends. So I'm very happy I'm here.
Well, we appreciate you for being here, man. We really do appreciate it. If you want to just hang out with us for just 1 second while we finish this outro. Thank you guys so much for tuning in tonight. We really do appreciate it. Thank you guys for all the love and support you guys have been giving us. Jake, we thank you for joining us tonight. Chip, anything you want to say before we get out of here?
As always, please do not leave without leaving a like, comment, share, and subscribe.
And also, if you guys want to continue to support Movement Radio, check out streamlabs.com/Movement Radio/merch and go copy some merch. Once again, Jake, thank you for joining us tonight, man. We really do appreciate it. Thank you guys for watching. And until next time, I'm Talon Williams.
I am Chip Hazard.
And I'm Jake Haberman.
And this is Movement Radio.
God's plan.